The Albany Deed of 1701. Conveyance of lands by the Native American chiefs of the Five Nations, 1701. Also referred to as the Albany Deed of 1701. A deed from the Five Nations to the King, of their beaver hunting ground, made at Albany, New York, July 19, 1701. To all Christian and Indian people in this part of the world and in Europe over the great salt waters, to whom the presents shall come, we the sachems, chief men, captains and representatives of the Five Nations or cantons of Indians called the Maquaes, Oneidas, Onondagas, and Senecas, living in the government of New York in America, to the northwest of Albany on this side of the lake Kadarashki sendeth greeting. Be it known unto you that our ancestors to our certain knowledge have had time out of mind a fierce and bloody war with 7 nations of Indians called the Aragaritkas, whose chief command was called successively Chohahis. The land is situate lying and being northwest and by west from Albany, beginning on the southwest side of Kadarashki Lake, and includes all that waste tract of land lying between the Great Lake of Ottawa and the lake called by the natives Sahiquage and by the Christians the Lake of Swege, and runs till it butts upon that which Twikes and is bounded on the right hand by a place called Quadoge, containing in length about 800 miles and in breadth 400 miles, including the country where the beavers, the deers, elks and such beasts keep, and the place called Tioge alias Fort de Tretor Waryotanok, and so runs round the lake of Swege till you come to place called Oneidarondaquot, which is about 20 miles from the Senecas' castles, which said 7 nations our predecessors did 80 years ago totally conquer and subdue, and drove them out of that country and had peaceable and quiet possession of the same to hunt beavers, which was the motive caused us to war for the same, for 80 years, it being the only chief place for hunting in this part of the world that ever we heard of. And after that we had been 60 years sole masters and owners of the said land, enjoying peaceable hunting without any interrogation. A remnant of one of the 7 nations called Shenondaid, whom we had expelled and drove away, came and settled there 20 years ago and disturbed our beaver hunting. Against this nation we have warred ever since, and would have subdued them long ere now had not them been assisted and succoured by the French of Canada, and whereas the governor of Canada aforesaid hath lately sent a considerable force to a place called Tugsagarond, the principal pass that commands said land, to build a fort there without our leave and consent, by which means they will possess themselves of that excellent country, where there is not only a very good soil but great plenty of all manner of wild beasts in such quantities that there is no manner of trouble in killing of them, and also will be sole masters of the boar hunting, whereby we shall be deprived of our livelihood and subsistence and brought to perpetual bondage and slavery. And we, having subjected ourselves and lands on this side of Kadarashki Lake wholly to the crown of England, we the said sachems, chief men, captains and representatives of the Five Nations, after mature deliberation out of a deep sense of the many royal favours extended to us by the present great monarch of England, King William III, and in consideration also that we have lived peaceably and quietly with the people of Albany our fellow subjects above 80 years, when we first made a firm league and covenant chain with these Christians that first came to settle Albany on this river, which covenant chain hath been yearly renewed and kept bright and clear by all the governors successively, and many neighbouring governments of English and nations of Indians have since upon their request been admitted into the same. We say upon these and many other good motives as hereunto moving have freely and voluntary surrendered, delivered up and forever quit claimed, and by these presents do for us our heirs and successors absolutely surrender, deliver up and forever quit claim unto our great Lord and Master the King of England, called by us Koraku and by the Christians William III. And to his heirs and successors, kings and queens of England, forever all the right, title and interest and all the claim and demand whatsoever which we the said 5 nations of Indians called the Maquaes, Oneidas, Onondagas, Cayugas and Senecas now have, or which we ever had, or that our heirs or successors at any time hereafter may or ought to have of, in or to all that vast tract of land or colony called Kanagariakio, beginning on the northwest side of Kadarashki Lake, and includes all that vast tract of land lying between the Great Lake of Ottawa and the lake called by the natives Kahiquij and by the Christians the Lake of Swege, and runs till it butts upon the Twitch-Twikes, and is bounded on the westward by the Twitch-Twikes by a place called Quadoge, containing in length about 800 miles and in breadth 400 miles, including the country where beavers and all sorts of wild game keeps, and the place called Tugsagrondi alias Fort de Tret or Waryotanok, and so runs round the Lake of Swege till you come to a place called Wanadarandakwat, which is about 20 miles from the Senecas castles, including likewise the great falls Okinagaro, all which was formerly possessed by 7 nations of Indians called the Aragaritka, whom by a fair war we subdued and drove from thence 80 years ago, bringing many of them captives to our country, and so became to be the true owners of the same by conquest, which said land is situate lying and being as is above expressed, with the whole soil, the lakes, the rivers and all things pertaining to the said tract of land or colony, with power to erect forts and castles there, so that we the said 5 nations nor our heirs nor any other person or persons for us by any ways or means hereafter have claim, challenge and demand of in or to the premises or any part thereof, always provided. And it is hereby expected that we are to have free hunting for us and the heirs and descendants from us the 5 nations forever, and that free of disturbance is expecting to be protected therein by the Crown of England, but from all the action, right, title, interest and demand of in or to the premises or every of them shall and will be utterly excluded and debarred for every by these presents. And we the said sachems of the 5 nations of Indians called the Makways, Oneidas, Onondagas, Kyogas and Senecas, and our heirs of the said tract of land or colony, lakes and rivers and premises and every part and parcel thereof, with their and every of their appurtenances unto our sovereign lord the King William III and his heirs and successor kings of England, to his and their proper use and uses against us our heirs and all and every other person lawfully claiming by from or under us the said 5 nations, shall and will warrant and forever defend by these presents, in witness whereof we the sachems of the 5 nations above mentioned in behalf of ourselves and the 5 nations have signed and sealed this present instrument and delivered the same as an act and deed to the Honourable John Nanfan Esquire, Lieutenant Governor, to our great King in this province, whom we call Colair, in the presence of all the magistrates, officers and other inhabitants of Albany, praying our brother Colair to send it over to Carishku our dread sovereign lord, and that he would be graciously pleased to accept of the same. Actum in Albany in the middle of the High Street this 19th day of July in the 13th year of his Majesty's reign. Anoke Domini 1701.